So while people are coming in, why don't we go ahead and introduce ourselves, the people who are part of the program. So my name is Shannon Daniel. I'm the program director for the Masters in Teaching English Language Learners. And I also have many amazing colleagues with me today. Dr. Huili Hong is a colleague who's teaching in the program, a professor, and Dr. Amber Warren is here teaching in the program. And we also have 6 amazing students. I reached out to some students to see, oh, more than that, actually. I reached out to students over the weekend to say, hello, can you join the webinar? Maybe prospective students would like to hear from current students to hear the student perspective and not just faculty perspectives. And everyone said yes. And I think that shows how awesome our program is and how awesome our community is. So maybe quickly, the people who are already part of Vanderbilt, do you want to quickly say hello? Maybe Dr. Hong and Dr. Warren and then the students.
Yeah, and I would be happy to start. And I will do a very quick self-intro of my research interests, and then I will share what I love about Peabody, and hopefully you can join us this fall. So my name is Huili Hong. Okay, I did unmute myself. That's great. So my research interests focus on multilingual learner education, teacher prep, and my work is grounded in social constructionism and interactional social linguistics and culturally and linguistically relevant and responsive pedagogy. I'm particularly interested in classroom and various social interactions and language and literacy learning. So I'm also interested in how to engage our students in dialogues and create opportunities to use their languages and literacies to acquire content knowledge. So doing that aims to provide our students with equitable access to academic learning and quality learning resources. And my latest project with my brilliant students here, we explore how to build a more robotic and equitable and fruitful relationship between our student teachers and mentors. So what I love about Peabody, and really hope you can join us, the list can get quite long. So I'm going to share just the top 3 things. So first of all, it is Peabody. That's simple. Its legacy is nationwide and well-known, the world-known reputation in the field of education. So it's a true honor for me to have the world-class scholars as my colleagues and collaborate with them on different projects that I can never imagine I could do it by myself. So another important reason is the Peabody Brilliant students. So as a teacher, I feel truly, truly lucky to learn and explore and grow together with them as teachers and see them grow as scholars in and across our fields. So the third thing is the space, the opportunities and possibilities Peabody creates for us, for faculty and students and staff, with all the supportive resources. So welcome. Hope to join us this fall.
Awesome. Thank you, Huili. Dr. Warren, Amber Warren, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's nice to get to meet you virtually. I'm Dr. Amber Warren, and I am also an associate professor for multilingual learner education. And my research interests are around teacher education for multilingual learners. Well, I think that as teachers in all kinds of settings, you need to be able to do so much and navigate pedagogy, but also things related to the politics of education and the social concerns that relate to education, and also the things that you know are best to do with your students. And we need to do all of this while we create equitable and valuable learning experiences for all of our students. And so my area of research is in examining how teachers learn about doing all of these things and develop deep knowledge and understanding and the agency to support their learners in these different settings. And I just see how my research is really reflective on making me a better teacher for all of you when you come to my classes, because I'm always thinking about teaching from that perspective. And so if you get to come, hopefully I'll get to work with you all on these topics too.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amber. So we also have a whole bunch of students here, which again, it says how amazing our community is. We have second-year students, first-year students, people who are in between. So the program is pretty flexible. Maybe if you're a current student, you can do the waving emoji, and then I'll give a chance for student perspectives along the way as well. Also, everyone who joined the webinar who is considering if this program is right for you, please go ahead and put any questions you have in the chat bar or voice any questions at any time so that we can make the time most useful for you. But otherwise, I'll give a quick overview of the program and then welcome any of my colleagues who are here to share their perspectives at any time. And also, it would be great to get to know you all a little bit more after reading the joy of reading your applications and getting to know you at least through the written form. So here's our program structure. I'll just give a quick overview. And again, pause at any time to ask questions. We have two main tracks for our program, the Teaching Multilingual Learner tracks and Applied Language and Literacy Studies tracks. And all of the students in our program do the same work in terms of understanding multilingualism, thinking about applied linguistics, the impact of language learning and learning multiple languages. However, there's a difference in the tracks in terms of the focus. So one of the coolest things about our program is the diversity of students' post-graduation goals. We have students who go on to work in after-school programs. We have students who go on to write grants to create after-school programs. We have students who go on to teach elementary, middle school, high school in the US. We have students who go to private schools, international schools, public schools in cities and the countryside, in Pakistan, in China, in Korea. We have people going all over the place, and many of our students end up going on to doctoral programs as well to further their studies and scholarship. So as you can see, the Teaching Multilingual Learners track focused mostly on pedagogical skills. And I would say many of the students in this track have gone on to further graduate school, professional, either another PhD program, or have gone on to do research in that context, thinking about the context of teaching and learning scenarios and situations and schooling and language learning. And then our second track focuses more broadly on applied linguistics. And for example, we have graduates who have gone on to be part of research studies where they're interviewing parents of multilingual learners and doing just a wide range of really cool activities. It's crazy. When I started here 10 years ago, and now I have a colleague who is an assistant professor who was in the master's program a few years ago. And so we see each other at conferences and stay in touch. And so I think that's something really important. I mentioned at the beginning how amazing it is that so many students said, yes, I'm happy to join this webinar, and that it's a testament of our community. And I think that's the way we view our students. We view you we as professors view you as colleagues, because we know you are our colleagues already. And we have expertise to share based on the research we've done and the time we've spent in the field in a variety of teaching and research positions. But we recognize and co-author with you and do interesting projects that align with your interests. The other thing about the program that is really special is that you have an in-depth practicum if you're in the pedagogical track. Again, some of the students who are in the more research-oriented track, they asked, can I do the practicum because I want that too? And yes, you can. You can make this program what is best for you. You can personalize it in relation to your post-graduation goals. And that's my aim. If I'm your advisor, I'm always thinking about what do you want to do after you graduate? And I and all of my colleagues think about our assignments for our courses in that light too. So we have assignments, but we design them in ways that can be implemented practically for someone who wants to teach kindergarten and for someone who wants to teach adults, and other kinds of diversity that might happen in terms of what people want to be doing after they graduate in this very big field of ours of language teaching and learning. The capstone project, if you're in the applied language and literacy studies track, you will do an in-depth literature review, ideally, which can be something that can be submitted for publication in a scholarly journal or other kinds of venues. And if you're in the teaching track, then you will do a teaching portfolio, and you have really in-depth mentoring for one whole year of your program to support you in developing that capstone. Again, the program personalization is designed so that many of your courses are core courses. They're required for your program, but you that has the benefit of having a cohort model. So you get to know your peers who will become your network for life. I mean, maybe not, but for me, I'm still friends. And, I wrote a grant with someone who I did my master's program with, and we had a large research project. And so that's the way we can think about you're entering the program too, is that you will have this network and you might do interesting things together in the future. So we have the core courses, which help with cohort building and collaboration and community building. And then you have many elective options. So you can choose what's of most interest to you. And I'll talk more about different examples along the way. So this is what it might look like in your first semester in fall, which is going to be here before we know it. If you're in the pedagogical track, you might take educational linguistics and second language acquisition and foundations of teaching multilingual learners. If you're in the applied language and literacy studies track, you might take, again, educational linguistics and scholarly writing and thinking. This class is designed to help you think and write like a graduate student. So ideally, some students use what they develop in this class for their PhD applications and other kinds of work that they might do. It's also relevant for people in the pedagogy track. They choose to take it if they think they'll be writing and needing to use writing skills to work with their teaching colleagues in the future. Again, you can take electives from either track as well. So if you're mostly focused on methods and assessment, then you can, in curriculum design, you can still take qualitative language analysis and vice versa. We also have a lot of areas of expertise in our program. The faculty team is amazing. So you might choose electives that tie in with our deep fascination with multilingualism, such as multilingualism and multimodality, second language literacy. Those two courses will be offered in the fall. Language education and diversity and the power of books to foster language. Those two classes will be offered in the spring. And these are electives, so you can choose to take them and, again, design the program as you see fit. A big question that I often get is about the timing of the program, and this is flexible. So the total program is 31 credits for everyone to graduate, but you can do those 31 credits in the sequencing and timeline that works for you. So the most popular option seems to be 2 years. People do fall, spring, and many people choose to do internships or other work over the summer. That means you take 3 classes in the fall, for example. This is an example, 3 classes in the spring, 4 classes in the next fall, and just 1 class in your last semester. That many students have told me has been really helpful for them because they spend that last semester, of course, planning their future, obtaining career goals and doing job interviews and other kinds of work for after their program. However, there's all of these other options. You could do fall, spring, summer, fall. So it's 3 semesters with a summer. You could do 3 semesters and skip the summer and take, that means, of course, if it's 31 credits, each class is typically 3 credits. Usually you take 3 classes per semester. If you condense that to just 3 semesters, then you would take an extra class in 1 or 2 of your semesters to make the 31 credits. And the least common option is fall, spring, summer. This is very condensed program, but it's also feasible. So every time when I'm meeting you, and ideally we will have one-on-one advising meetings within the next couple of months so that we can really dive into what your interests are, what you hope to achieve within your time in the program. We'll set up your courses for fall and think with you about what this looks like in terms of the amount of time you want to spend in the program and which kind of classes you would most like to take. So this is an example of what we think about in our program. We're developing theoretical frameworks. We have very close connections and partnerships with Metro Nashville Public Schools, Nashville Adult Literacy Council, lots of community organizations that work with multilingual communities in Nashville. It's also, I really didn't know. So it's just personal story. I was living in Washington, D.C. before I came to Nashville, and it's so international there. And I thought, oh, I don't know, what will Nashville be like? And I was very pleasantly surprised and delighted to see it's really an international place as well. So we're thinking about, for all of our classes, we're thinking about what do you want to do after you graduate and how can this class be helpful for you? Pretty much. And I mean, I think I'm representing my colleagues who are on the call and also other colleagues who are not on the call today, but happy to come to the next webinar or think with us about what's best for you. So I'll pause. I gave a quick overview of some of the key kind of details of the program. And now maybe I can pause for student perspectives and or any kinds of questions that anyone has. We're happy to think with you about what's helpful. Okay, maybe a current student. I'm not seeing any questions. So if any current student wants to share any highlight you've had in your program, or I guess think about how you felt before you decided to join this program and what would be helpful for you to hear to make your decision.
I saw Cameron's hand up.
Oh.
So yeah, Cameron, I saw your hand up before.
Yeah, sure, I can
introduction.
say something. Hi everyone, I'm Cameron. I'm a first year student in the ELL program, and I also did my undergraduate at Vanderbilt. So I was kind of familiar with the program before starting, but I think something that surprised me and has definitely been a highlight has been just the extraordinary people that I've been able to meet in my classes. The members of our cohort are very diverse, both in terms of their teaching experience, but also their own linguistic and cultural diversity. So whenever we have discussions in class, I'm always learning something new, both about my classmates personally, but also just about the field in general and the theories that we're learning in action. So that's definitely been a highlight, is learning from those around me.
Thanks, Cameron. I would echo that as a faculty member too, that is what makes our seminar style classes, which are usually pretty small, pretty high grade student to teacher ratio. That's one of the things that makes them really rich, is the diversity of perspectives and goals. Sajia, what do you think?
Yeah, for the program so far, I'm thinking like I learned a lot of teaching pedagogies and teaching theories about toward like how to teach multilingual learners. And also, I think the practicum offered me a great chance to really teach students here and to apply my teaching pedagogies I learned from the classes, and I feel it's a very nice experience here.
Thanks, Sajia.
Maybe say more like and although like I'm in the teaching track, and I'm also thinking of pursue a PhD in the future. So I also take like scholarly writing classes to know how to write a literature review, and this is really helpful for me if I want to help me to pursue a further degree. Yeah.
Yalu, thank you.
I'll mute. Well, I would like to share that I'm really thankful for the personal attentions I got from here. Like, I feel like every professors are really care about each student's personal career interest. And also you got a lot of resources here, and it's not like only up there on the website or something, but I feel like during the classes, my professors are showing me how to use those resources. For example, in the scholarly writing and thinking courses I took with Dr. Daniel, I remember that time you taught us how to access to the library to kind of made an appointment with a specific librarian. So I feel like that is a very big highlight for me. And also writing centers. I know Cameron also works in the writing center, and also the career center. They are very helpful too. Either you want to find a job to kind of work on your CVs, or you want to work on your personal statement for pursuing a PhD. They kind of help you to develop your thought and things. And also like English language centers, if you are from a non-English speaking country like China. Yeah, that's something I really like.
Something else that's been great for me is we have students who have done their practicum and graduated from our program, and then they stay in Nashville. So a lot of the mentor teachers are actually graduates from our program. So they work in local middle schools, local elementary schools, and that's great. From my perspective, it's great because I've had a long relationship with the mentor teachers. And it's also great for our students because I know, we have shared goals in terms of multilingual teaching. Sijia, were you going to say something? Sorry.
Yes, just add on the Yaru's sharing, like if you want to be an English teacher in the future, actually this program provide you really rich resources about like what books you can use, and also how you can do a lesson plan and how to assess students, and to give all these courses give you very specific ideas what you can do and how you can do. And also if you take literature classes, you will get more resources about the English books which you can use in your future teaching. And I think this will be really helpful if you want to be an English teacher.
Yeah, thank you. We stay pretty connected with our alumni too, and I think they stay connected with each other. So hopefully it's a long-term kind of connection. Okay, sorry, Yunqing and Wallace.
Okay, so one of the highlight for me so far is the professors at Peabody. They're so nice. Every time I will ask questions and they're always supportive and they're patient and they share resources with me, and also like all the questions, like the readings and discussions in class help me think back of my teaching experience and push me to think further. And I think that's really powerful for me, like personal growth. And also I would also echo with the what the cohort other students said. It's very resourceful and there are so many other multiple electives. So for example, this semester I'm taking Harry Potter and children's literature with Zichuan, and we're going to spend our summer break, oh sorry, it's not summer break, spring break spring break in London. And yeah, so there's so there are so many interesting electives, and which is just so like attractive, and you can just make it the most at your interest. And also I would say this semester I'm taking a class from special ed, because special ed in Peabody is really like top one. So I went to that introduction class and I learned about how do you support special needs students, for example, if they're on the spectrum, if they have dyslexia, if they have ADHD. Those are very practical situations that you're going to face if you choose to be a classroom teacher. And I think I learned a lot from that, and I also get a lot of answers. Those are like key questions like bothering me in the past. Now I got the answer and I was really grateful for that. Yeah.
That's so helpful. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Wallace.
Hi everyone, I'm Zichuan. So about the highlights I can think of is on the foundation course with Dr. Daniel, and about I remember there's a project called community literacy, and like just Dr. Daniel just mentioned that students are always encouraged to think about what their current coursework can help with their future teaching. So I was thinking of things I finished my bachelor degree in Macau. So I was thinking about maybe I can make use of the Cantonese. I cannot say Cantonese, but I know that Cantonese is an important part of Macau, Hong Kong, and the area of Guangdong people. So I made I designed some activities based on the loan words in Cantonese from English, because yeah, in Canada there are a lot of words from English, so I try to make use of them in English lesson. And yeah, actually this course helped me to reflect on my past experience and how can they be helpful for my future career. Like if I go back to Guangdong or Macau or Hong Kong, I can make use of the little project I finished in my master program to my teaching. Yeah. And also I got inspired by just now, because that's apart from our program, the also maybe Peabody or the Vanderbilt's, they really care about students. For example, I have a good resource recommendation is the University Counseling Center, UCC, and they have like psychiatrists and counselors. So and I believe if you have the student health fee, I'm not sure is that about $100 or $200, and you can go there for counseling for free. As many people know that counseling is very expensive in US. So I want to recommend this resource to you all. And yeah, just Vanderbilt care students so much. So I hope that you will come and experience the Southern hospitality with us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We will pause. I see other students are eager to share their perspectives too, but I heard several people mention the resources outside of just our Department of Teaching and Learning. So maybe I'll spend a few minutes thinking about that. Well, also we have, these are just some photos of different kinds of socials. We have a lot of social gatherings. So usually this is from a pizza party. It was after one of the classes last semester, and also to celebrate people who are graduating. And the cool things that several of these students are now already working in different jobs. And I just got an email yesterday from one of them. And so it's just great to see. And this is a workshop we had where Huili, Dr. Hong and Dr. Amber Warren and I and Joe Cravens, another professor, kind of shared our personal trajectories. So just time after class that it may not fit exactly within a course or syllabus, but it's still meaningful. Hopefully, we are trying to develop meaningful interactions where you get to spend time together. And also we give additional advice or just our own experiences outside of class. Here in this photo, you see Molly Collins, Dr. Molly Collins, Dr. Emily Phillips Galloway, other amazing professors in our program. And I wanted to mention that because our professors are really influencing the field and very active in the field. So a lot of the student perspectives just now talked about, the kinds of interactions we have. The photos I just shared are more about how we are spending time together during your time in your master's program. But all of these professors are also publishing research, going to conferences, and that means two things for you. One is you're learning from people who are getting more and more cited and really influencing the field. Some of these graphs you see are from pretty junior faculty, not people who are about to retire. So really active scholars. And the other reason that's great for you is because it shows you that I'm saying all of these are my colleagues who I'm feeling very fortunate to work with, but we are really active in the field ourselves in terms of what's the most recent research, what's coming out this week, or what came out. We get the table of contents from the journals and we share them with you. So last semester I was teaching scholarly writing and thinking and the foundations course, and I bring in articles that were not in the syllabus, but they just came out. And so one was on translanguaging. It was an awesome example of a literature review. I hadn't planned it, but it was just really relevant to what our class was doing at the time. And so I think there's great benefit to, I think, the personal interactions with faculty, but also knowing that the faculty are then having personal interactions with other people who are leaders in the field and bringing that back to you. So that's something to keep in mind. These are our other colleagues who are teaching classes in fall and spring next fall that you might take, or next spring. Emily Phillips Galloway, thinking about academic language and student agency is an agentive use of language choices. Blaine Smith is focused on multimodal and multilingual work and learning. Molly Collins is working, her background, you can see, is preschoolers working with vocabulary acquisitions. She has an amazing course she just developed in the last couple of years on storybook reading. And in fact, Blaine's course is also new. Blaine Smith just created this course, Dr. Blaine Smith, on multilingualism and multimodality this semester. And so our program is constantly kind of refining what are students interested in, what's happening in the field right now, and what new courses can we add so that you are getting what's current in the field. And also, I'll say all of these professors have really wide professional histories. So working, some have more expertise working with young learners, some with high school students, some have taught adults. A lot of people have taught internationally and in other places. Finally, I think of communities of practice. So we have our department, we have our program, so our master's program and our cohort model and strong connections there. We're also within the Department of Teaching and Learning at Peabody College, and Peabody College has 5 departments, which are, as someone mentioned, pretty phenomenal, the work that's being done across the 5 departments. So you can choose different electives. It's less common that someone chooses a special education elective just because there are so many other electives, but it's an option for you. If that's your interest and my interest is in something in policy, I can think about policy as an elective. And so you can go in so many different directions, and I think it's really rich. These resources were also mentioned a few minutes ago, at least 1 or 2 of them. The English Language Center, they often offer free classes. You can take 1 class per semester, or many students enroll in a class during the first semester called US Education and Culture. The Writing Studio doesn't offer classes as much. It's more of a one-on-one model. So I bring my paper to a tutor in the Writing Center, and he or she works with me on my paper from my class. And it's very, so it's specifically geared to support me in what I'm trying to do. There's great job opportunities. A lot of people work part-time on campus in really wide, like students have worked at the gym. I had a student who wanted to motivate herself to go to the gym, so she got a job at the gym, just very, not necessarily tied with our work, but then many students do work at the Writing Studio or English Language Center or other areas that are more connected with, your line of work that you're doing. University Counseling Center was mentioned. Peabody Research Librarians are amazing. Someone mentioned them, that Yalu mentioned, that you can have a one-on-one meeting with them to talk about your research project. They come to our classes and talk with us about tips and strategies to be strategic. I think that's pretty much, what else can we say about Peabody? It's just also gorgeous. So my undergrad and my master's degree, it was like 1 or 2 education buildings, and I had a phenomenal experience, and it's great. But when I came to Peabody, it used to be its own college, separate from Vanderbilt. So you see the whole mall, each of the buildings looking down from Wyatt Center, which is at the top, you see is dedicated to one of the different departments. So in other schools I've been to, each floor is a department, but here each building is a department. It's really just a rich place to be in our field of education more broadly, in language and literacy education more specifically too. So maybe, I can't believe there are no questions. Are there really no? Please feel free to ask questions. I'm talking a lot, but I'm also here to support you. And if you don't feel comfortable asking a question now, you should have my email address. I emailed everyone on Friday, so feel free to reach out. I'm happy to chat one-on-one via email. In the meantime, maybe other students, other highlights that maybe you wanted to share, or anything else, or Amber or Huili, anything?
I saw Sijia, Shuchen and Fandy were about to share something, and I think now the floor is really open for everybody to ask questions and share your stories.
Okay, so I could share some things since I am a second-year student in the EL program, and after I spent almost 2 years in this program, I would like to say, if you are in the EL program at Vanderbilt, and you are in the lucky, because personally I feel like it's a great school with the excellent program, and the best thing about the EL program, I feel like, is you will have opportunity to study all sorts of the pedagogy series, all the knowledge, all the cool things systematically. Like we have the class to teach you how people learn the language and how to test students' English proficiency and what's the best way to teach English. And you will also have the opportunity to access the practicum experience by working in the local elementary school or the local high school. And I feel like one of the highlights in our Peabody is, I feel like the online selecting system is really flexible for students. Even we are in the EL program, but if we have other interest, I mean, if we want to develop or teaching ability more, we can also opt for other classes. Like we have, if I have some interest for special education, I still can audit their classes, and I feel like this is a really good thing about our program. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shijin.
Well, and I just wanted to share some of my personal experience because actually I enrolled in this program in spring and I'm going to graduating in 3 semesters. So it's so for me, my highlight of this program is my 2nd semester actually, because I took a lot of classes to earn a credit in the 2nd semester. And for me, it's really unforgettable because it's hard, of course. I had 5 classes that semester, but I learned a lot, especially for the practicum. I had 2 practicum in my 2nd semester at English Language Center at Vanderbilt and also the Nashville Adult Literacy Council. And I think the most valuable things for the practicum is that you could work with different mentors and different learners from different cultural and educational backgrounds. And also another thing is that you could really apply what you learn in Peabody in a real world setting. Like in class, maybe the pedagogies or the theories are too abstract for you, but you could really use it in your practicum. And also you can make as many mistakes as you will. And that's okay. And your mentors and your university mentors will all help you, support you, and tell you, give you some really useful suggestions. And another thing that I think this program helped me to achieve my goals is flexibility, like what Dr. Daniel said before. It can show in many different ways, like the flexibility of our professors. For all the classes I took, my professors repeatedly asked me questions like, what do you want? And how we can help you to achieve your goals. And this led me to rethinking that what should I do next and what my future step to of my professional development. And I think this is really helpful. And also, as I have a huge amount of tasks and assignments in my 2nd semester, I was pushed to read, to learn, and when I come to the class, I discuss these things, my thoughts with my future colleagues and with my professors, and then I apply it in my practicum. And also I had some project or like the capstone. It's an opportunity for me to reflect on what I've learned and what I've done. So you can see this is a whole process. Like I could find how learning truly happened, especially for the English language learners. So I think it's really valuable, and I hope our prospective students could feel that in the future. Yeah, so that's my experience. It's really personal.
Thank you, Fendi.
Thank you.
Cameron, what are you thinking?
Yes. Hello, everyone again. I just wanted to add on to what Fendi was saying. But in terms of being able to kind of think about the goals and ways to accomplish them, the faculty and the classes are all set up really well to help you do that. I have interests in both teaching and research. And even though it's just my first year in the program, through my classes, I've already been able to produce things that I'll be able to use in both of those paths. So for example, last semester, I was able to write a literature review that now I'm trying to get published. And so that's something that I could then have on my CV. And then this semester, I'm creating a unit based on writing, which is then something that I can then implement in my classes in the future. So even beyond just looking long term, you're doing things now that are going to help you in the future. And you have some of the best faculty and classmates in the field to help you craft that together. So it's just been such a valuable experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Thanks, Cameron. That's really good. That's what we're here to do, is support you all in achieving your goals. And I think tied with what Cameron's talking about in these two classes that he gave as an example is we're always trying to help you think about the potential audience. I am not your audience when you're writing. I mean, I am your professor. I am going to read. I am reading it very carefully and giving detailed feedback. But I want you to think about, if you're writing this curriculum plan for the language curriculum design class, can you share it with colleagues? Could you share it with a future school administrator, or give examples of it in a job interview when you're trying to get a job teaching, becoming a teacher leader in the future? And similar with the literature review, I have people think about what journal would you publish this in? Where does it make sense? To whom are you speaking as you write? And I think that might help in terms of making everything as practical as it can be, that it's actually something that has utility for your future life outside of this program too. We have just a few minutes left. This is the mission statement of our department. We're housed in the Department of Teaching and Learning, one of 5 departments in Peabody. We focus very much on teaching and learning, as the department is called, but we also bring in a lot of questions related to policy and how multilingual learners are served, and other features of that impact the language learning experience and teaching experience. This is just a screenshot from the Vanderbilt Masters Peabody Master Students Job Board. This is, as it is called, it's the Master Student Job Board for Peabody. So these are all of the jobs, and it's not the whole list of what's available right now. Also, you can see that these are starting in August. So these are thinking about the next semester. So now is a good time. I think you have to do the enrollment checklist, which was sent to you from the Vanderbilt Peabody email that you got. The enrollment checklist is making sure you have a Vanderbilt ID that you can log into these different systems, and then you can start thinking about what is your life here really going to look like. Can you, you can register for classes, you can apply for jobs, and all the kinds of fun things that you might be thinking about to design your life to maximize your time during your master's program. Vanderbilt is also housed in Nashville, which, as I said, is a really international city. It's also, I think it's got a lot to offer the city. So I know, I guess I'm saying that your decision for graduate school is a big one, and it's tied with your career goals, and that's as it should be, and your academic goals. But also you will have hopefully some time here and there to explore the city, and there's lots to enjoy. People live in all different kinds of neighborhoods, either in walking distance to Vanderbilt, or there's lots of buses that go to different neighborhoods. And some people, increasingly people live in the suburbs, kind of a little bit farther out. And so there's lots of different opportunities. And I think this photo at the bottom here is actually taken from Hillsborough Village, which is in walking distance of Wyatt Center, which is where most of our classes are. So you can walk down after class or before class, depending on the time, have a coffee, like a fancy coffee, or, just walk around and enjoy people watching and think about your paper in the back of your mind, or however you structure, your time and your spare time. These are lots of maps, and I think these are available on the Peabody website too. But the last thing I want to say, I'll skip through all of this, is that you can please feel free to email any of us at any time to talk about anything that was raised in today's discussion, or things that you're wondering from the website, or basically anything at all. I'm here to help you think about, like I said, I know for me, it was a big decision if I would want to do a master's degree or not. And I applied to more than one school and deciding where to go, like all of these things. I remember the experience of, it's a very big part of your life, a master's program. It's also a really unique and special time of your life where you can dedicate your mind to these really, your inquiries that you have and pursue your interests in ways that will shape your future life. I mean, certainly shaped my life, but obviously I'm here. So, you know, I'm still in the field and everything. So, yeah, reach out anytime if you have questions about decisions. I also included Shuchen and Yunqing, our program assistants. Maybe the other students would be welcome to connecting with you too, but I asked them in advance if they would be open to it. So you can reach out to them. I included three professors' names. Questions, comments from others, things to be thinking about? One thing we didn't mention is, I think maybe we touched on it, is class size. It varies. It can be very small or a little bit larger. But when I say a little bit larger, it's no more. I don't think I've ever had a class more than 25 students. And so my classes this semester and last semester, 18 students or 17 students, 9 students, 18 students, 20 students, those are the class sizes. And I know my colleagues have classes, maybe 12 students. So that means that you do get to have a lot of rich dialogue about your work.
Hi, I'm Haley, and I do have a question.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. So here's the question. I'm actually really curious if there's any requirement when choosing a specific track, because I just learned that there's this pedagogical track and there's this applied linguistics and literacy studies track. So is there any requirement when choosing any of these tracks?
Excellent question. There is not a specific requirement except that you follow your interests and you pursue what is most interesting and purposeful for you in terms of your long-term career goals. Also, we've had students in the past who started in one track and then shifted to another track, and that's no problem. It's flexible. You have time and space to do that. We meet with you. I usually have advising meetings within the first couple of weeks of school, and we have group advising workshops. So if people are thinking, oh, maybe I'd rather focus more on that, you can do it. And similarly, as I said, you can, I think we have one student who's in her last semester now. She has decided to take all of the required classes from both tracks, and those make up all of her electives. So she has a deep and broad knowledge of multilingual learning that I think will serve her well in the future. And so that's an option to think about. The main difference, I would say, one of the main differences is, like several people talked about, the practicum, methods and assessment-oriented coursework, and your capstone is different. So even people who do the pedagogy track, if they take scholarly writing and thinking, they can do the lit review capstone. Or if you do the research track and you want to do, we have someone this year who is in the research track but wants to do a teaching portfolio for her capstone because it aligns with where she's thinking her post-graduation goals will take her. So it's really a lot of flexibility. Yeah,
thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I kind of have a question. It might be a little broad, but like I just want to see, like, what does a day in the life of, you know, being a grad student look like? Like, I know some people take courses 3 times a week. So like, what do you do outside of that, you know?
Great question, and I will defer to the students to share.
So
oh, sorry.
you can go first.
Sure. So I have classes 3 days per week. Each of my classes meet once per week for 3 hours. And then the rest of the time I'm working. As someone mentioned, I work in the writing studio here. So I'm helping students on their papers one-on-one, gaining experience that way. And then beyond that, I do some independent research projects, as well as just kind of hanging out with friends and getting to see the city, There's a lot of things to do. So it is a lot of work, but it's all very engaging, and it hasn't been too difficult to kind of balance the work and the fun. It's been able to balance it pretty easily. Gia?
Yeah, hi. And the same similar answers as well. Like I work as a research assistant this semester, and I also there are also many activities on campus and held by different organizations, and I think they are really interesting. And this and all these activities are really like cultural inclusive. So these activities they even have like different organizations for different cultural groups. So you can join the organizations or join the activities held by these organizations, and like making friends and or just enjoy the food or other things.
Usually we have a program website that's operated, it's like our online course system. And I always am sharing events that I hear about and posting them. There's a Peabody event calendar, there's a Vanderbilt event calendar, and there's always a lot to do related to the university, I think. And then also a lot, around town as well. Additional questions?
Oh, hi, Dr. Daniel. I have a quick question. So I came in late because I just came back from my field placement. I don't know if we talk about that. So my question is, how long does this program normally take? Because I noticed online that it will take like about 31 credit hours, but it did not mention about how long, like is it 1 year or 1.5 year program?
It's your choice. And so a lot of students choose 2 years and they have a very light last semester. They just have one class in their last semester. A lot of students choose 1.5 years. So 3 semesters, like Fandi was an example. She started in January and now is in her second semester, in their third semester already, sorry. And will graduate in spring. So those are the 2 most popular options, is people do 2 years. The second most popular option is 3 semesters. And in that case, you can choose to take a summer class or have a heavier semester, one of the 3 semesters. And another choice is fall, spring, summer. It's the least common choice, but it's also an option.
Okay, thank you.
I just
More
shared.
questions?
Yes, I just shared our Peabody events, and you can just follow the link and check out all our events from the newsletters.
Thanks.
I actually have a question.
Okay, Sarah.
Is the practicum like a student teaching? Like, is it like you're full on student teaching with a mentor? Or like, do you switch around to different schools? How does that look like?
Great question. Do you want to take it, Whaley?
I'm okay. You being in such a long collaborative relationship with our mentors, I will leave that to you, Shannon.
Sure. So Whaley is the leader of the practicum this year. And so basically it's designed, again, it's quite flexible. I don't know if you all like that or not, but it's designed to be flexible so that it can align with your post-graduation goals. So you can have we set you up with a mentor teacher. We make sure we collect your schedule and make sure that you can go at the times when they are doing their active teaching. So for example, if you wanted to teach elementary school, we will not have you go when the students are in gym class. We will have you make sure that you can go when meaningful instruction is happening and where you have time to co-plan and talk with the mentor teacher. We ask you if you would, what you most prefer in terms of placement. So elementary, kind of K through 2nd grade, 3rd, 4th grade, middle school, high school, or working with adults. And we have several placements and long-term collaborations at all levels. And then you set up the schedule in the way that makes sense for you and your mentor. So let's say you're going to mentor teacher Miss A, and she says, and you and she meet, you talk about the practicum. She already knows the expectations because we have communicated with her the kind of the goals of the practicum. And then you say, okay, every Tuesday, Thursday morning, I'll come to your class. Most people choose to do 2 days a week, but it can depend. Some people might choose a different schedule, but I think 2 days a week is great if it's possible, because then you kind of can build rapport with the students and the mentor teacher and kind of track the curriculum implementation a little bit more. So it's not full student teaching, it's flexible and you fit it into your schedule as you see fit. And also most students, in many cases, students tend to do above the minimum expectation in terms of hours because it's such a fruitful learning experience for them, and our mentors welcome it.
Great, thank you. Also, in regards to that, does it start up your first semester, or like would that be your last semester?
That's another great question. I'm thinking I was going to go back in my slideshow, but we usually have you take other classes in your first semester, so you have a really strong grounding in the policies and program models and things that you would be likely to see in local elementary and secondary or adult learning situations in your first semester. So typically students in the pedagogical track take foundations of teaching multilingual learners, which we talk a lot about the rights and responsibilities and policies, laws that guide instruction and learning. We think about students' cultural backgrounds and kind of our own teaching philosophy and what we're going to prioritize in our work with multilingual learners. The second language acquisition class also gives a strong foundation. There's 3 big goals for educational linguistics second language acquisition. One is thinking about how learning multiple languages is different from learning one language. Another is kind of theories that guide those processes. And another part of it is, okay, what are implications? We look at the language system, we think about the theories of multiple language learning, and then we think about, okay, what does it look like for my teaching? And you do a case study of a learner and those classes, and then you can take an elective that would most align with your interests. So for example, you might take multilingualism and multimodality if you really want to work with high school students and engage them in a multimodal video project or something for their language learning. That would be a great class for you to take in fall too. And then you would do your practicum in spring at the earliest. So when people choose to take that depends on their personal trajectory. Some students take it in their second semester, they take the methods and practicum class. Some students choose to take it in their third semester or even their fourth semester sometimes, but never in their first semester.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah, great questions. Sajia, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe I can share more about the practicum. I think I can share my personal experience. I took it in the second semester, and I choose to teach elementary students, and I go actually once a week for the whole day. And you can explore how the English teacher there, how the EL teachers, they teach students for a whole day, how they cooperate with other teachers to teach students. And I think it's usually, the class usually need us to go to 60 hours. Yeah, so you can just count. Usually you can choose to go to 2 mornings in a week, or go to like me, one whole day every week. It's for your choice, and eventually you have 60 hours in the school you choose. But if you choose to teach adults, I think it's different. The adults are online teaching, and you may not need to go to the school, and yeah, and it will be a different experiences. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we're about out of time, but I'm also happy to stay on the call for discussion of any other questions that you all have on your mind at the moment. Yeah, I don't hear any questions. So thank you everybody for your time. I'm happy to, like I said, what happens to me usually is I don't have questions in the moment and then I go for a walk and I say, hey, wait a minute, I should have asked that question. And so if that happens to you, again, feel free to email. I'm happy to set up a Zoom call with you if it's helpful, or, a virtual meeting, whatever is helpful for you to think about. And otherwise, we might be reaching out in the next few months to see about, your initial advising appointment and which classes might make sense for you, and that kind of thing. If you decide to take the leap and join us at Peabody. Okay, well, thank you. You have a lovely rest of the day too. That's nice of you to say. And huge gratitude to our current students who share their time with us. Thank you very much for sharing your perspective. It's much more interesting to have the dynamic perspective of faculty and current students. So I really appreciate your time, and same with Dr. Hong and Dr. Warren. So thank you everybody for your time, and mostly thanks to you all who are considering joining Peabody and the great work you did with your applications. I am just so excited for a really rich incoming cohort. That's going to be fascinating work that you all will do, and that I'll have the privilege of getting to do alongside you. So thank you for your time. And again, reach out anytime. Okay.